I don't want to say eliminating, but hopefully eliminating or even reducing genetically transferred diseases on the long run. Since I mean, it's relatively new. It's been around for a while, but it's not. We can't say that it's been around for years. It's something that's relatively new, and you're saying that more and more people are getting it done because it's compulsory now in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But talking about the future, how effective do you think it will be in eliminating or reducing genetically spread diseases?
On its own, it's not going to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be accompanied by a well-informed public, let's say, awareness of the problem. If the public is aware, if the public is conscious about their own family history, then I think that will be effective with this screening program. But there will be advances to it. There will be an increased, let's say, number of tests that are added.
Absolutely.
The tests will be cheaper and more.
Sure.
But if it's not accompanied with a good public awareness of the subject, then it's not going to be really effective.
But Dr. Yazeed, I mean, how can we inform the public? How can we better educate the public, maybe through advertisements or through getting some stands in the mall and getting people to actually talk face-to-face to the public about the genetic diseases, about the screening program? I mean, what ways do you think is best to actually educate the public more on this premarital screening and the benefits of it, and more importantly, the results? Because as you said, you don't actually impose any decisions on the couple. It's then up to them to either research more into the results and to try and find out what's best for them, or maybe they might decide to ignore it completely, or as you said, if the couple are forced to join, they might decide to actually forget about the whole marriage altogether.
Yes, yes. I think media is in all its form, televised, internet, and so on and so forth. I think there's a need for a campaign. And let's tap on a more controversial, let's say, subject. When I say genetic disorder or genetic, let's say, problems, I don't really always mean a disease.
Absolutely.
Now we're talking about general health, and health is not only the absence of disease, but it is the
other issues as well.
Other issues, exactly. So you find that when a group of people tend to marry within the same gene pool, you will have other problems that are not actually classified as disease, but are, let's say, affecting the quality of life, stature, physique, eyesight,
social issues as well,
exactly.
Physical disabilities,
physical. No, I wouldn't go to disabilities, and we'll go into disease.
You're not really talking about disease. I think you're talking about social status, and I mean, I agree with you. Like when you marry outside the family, you're sometimes bringing something new to the family, a new way of thinking, maybe a new way of life, some new maybe lifestyle skills. You're learning more.
Exactly. Even genetically, if genes that are mixed from a more distant population get them more healthier. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, has some creeds that show that he advises to extend, and go away from your immediate family.
Absolutely.
That's very interesting. And sir, if you can just give us a brief idea, for example, just for our viewers, just to give them an idea about the screening, could you give us or tell us, for example, how does the screening happen? Is it as simple as going to the hospital and giving a blood test, or does it require more steps or more procedures? And can, let's say, one medical examination, can it detect all diseases or all disorders?
Well, I think you are. It's very clear. Most of the major hospitals have these centers.
That's good.
You could be referred to by, the person responsible for, the official work of the marriage, and it always involves just a blood sample that could be used for all of these tests.
A simple blood test.
Just a blood test. It's very straightforward. It's not a hassle. It's just getting your head around the concept of having to be screened. That's the problem. But finding the way, I mean, people will find a way. It's not a problem.
Good.
People will, and I think it's very important to note that everybody should do it. It's not something that you should be shy away from.
That's true.
It's actually preventing a problem, not causing a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think people, you would be very surprised on how receptive the Saudi population is. people would think otherwise, but they're quite receptive to.
But I think, as you said, people
openness.
just have to get used to the idea.
Yes.
And as you said, it is compulsory. It's important that you do these tests.
Yes.
I believe, of course, King Abdullah made it, let's say, made it a rule or made a law that no couple should get married or could get married without providing these tests.
Yes.
That's
And there's an inherent wisdom that when you know there is a risk, then you should really think about it.
Yeah, you're being smart, basically.
Exactly. There's nothing more devastating than having an affected child in the family, and I totally respect and appreciate the effort that the parents of an affected child go through life. It's
a major challenge.
It's a major challenge, and they need support from everybody, from the immediate family, from the society, plus the economic strain. Now, let's say diabetes. Now, you would think that diabetes has nothing to do with genetics, but it's actually, especially type 2, which is the late onset diabetes, is quite very clearly genetically inherited.
Absolutely.
And things like that. But again, you go into this problem if you would like advise against people with an affected, let's say, or a gene that could lead them to have diabetes, then you would actually prevent people getting
because it's on the rise, isn't it? I mean, diabetes is on the rise generally, not just in Saudi Arabia, but it's in connection with obesity. It's something that is on the rise. So to actually advise against it would be
it'll be
like preventing many couples from getting married if we speak realistically.
So it's not a straightforward issue. It needs some thought.
It's a very sensitive issue as well.
Absolutely.
Dr. Yazeed, you mentioned earlier awareness, and I have to agree with you that more awareness will actually make not just the screening effective, but the results of the screening more effective. Do you think maybe having, let's say, an appointment with a counsellor for each couple, if they have been tested positive, will actually help to promote more awareness if we do it, let's say, I mean, as well as media and as well as other methods of awareness campaigns, but actually having each couple who are effective, I mean, let's make it compulsory, let's say, for them to actually see a counsellor, to actually advise them on what they can and cannot do. And then, of course, it's their responsibility.
Well, as I said, disorders that are now enrolled in the program, they're quite straightforward, and there is some kind of information that is given to you during the test, after the test results come out. But you raise an important question. The only problem is that in order to enforce that would require people sitting down with appointments and going to counselors. And I think it's important, and it's not that, I mean, it's not that big a burden to arrange.
Absolutely.
How many people will eventually go to this counsel? It's another, as I said, it's
another issue.
Exactly.
But it is for their benefit. I mean, we're talking about preventing, let's say, a child with a serious condition, as you said, which can be a burden. It can be challenging for the parents if they think of it for the best or in the long run, and maybe.
Yeah, and as I said, there are other diseases that are not in the program. Current program that are much more devastating. Thalassemia, I agree, is quite devastating, especially some forms of it. But there are more debilitating diseases that are there that need genetic counseling. And I advise, without having it compulsory, I advise aware, well-thought couples to be open to the subject and seek genetic counseling when necessary.
That's absolutely. Of course, we'd like to conclude by saying that these tests are very important, and I think the more information you have about them, the easier it is to accept and to understand that that's something that you need to do.
Absolutely.
But of course, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us today,
Dr.
Yazeed, and giving us important information about these screenings.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, you guys, as you see, it's very important that you follow with these screenings, and it's also very important that you can, let's say, try to find out more about these by asking your local community or your local hospital, for that matter. And of course, when Rasha and I come back, we'll give you more information about our main topic of today. But for now, we're going to leave you with a very short report, and when we do come back,